He just decided to purchase 12 new German submarines at a cost of over $30 billion instead of the more lethal South Korea sub.
60조 원 규모의 캐나다 잠수함 수주전. 표면적으로는 한국이 초대형 사업을 놓친 것처럼 보였습니다. 하지만 시간이 흐를수록 대한민국이 실리를 제대로 챙겼다는 냉철한 분석이 쏟아지고 있습니다. 캐나다가 원한 것은 단순히 잠수함 12척이 아니라 현지 생산 시설 구축, 수십 년간의 유지보수 책임, 대규모 투자와 일자리 창출까지 사실상 하나의 산업 생태계를 통째로 만들어 달라는 과도한 요구였기 때문입니다. 잠수함 계약이라기보다 국가 경제 프로젝트에 가까운 무리한 조건이었던 것입니다. 하지만 이를 들은 미국 최고 군사 전문가가 한국의 잠수함을 보곤 결국 놀랄 수밖에 없었는데요.
Mark Carney just decided to purchase 12 new German submarines at a cost of over $30 billion instead of the more lethal South Korea sub. They've got longer delivery times and don't have the capabilities to launch long-range land attack missiles.
성능과 납기 모든 면에서 한국이 앞섰음에도 캐나다가 독일을 선택하자 해외 군사 매체들도 의아함을 감추지 못하고 있습니다. 그런데 한국의 잠수함이 전 세계 지도를 완전히 새로 쓰게 되면서 이들의 선택을 무색하게 만드는 상식 밖의 상황이 펼쳐집니다. 전직 미 해군 잠수함 승조원이자 군사 분석가가 내놓은 냉철한 평가가 캐나다의 뼈아픈 오판을 정확히 찔러냅니다.
Game changer, AIP submarine has fired a ballistic missile submarine for the first time. And there's a few caveats there that makes this the first time. The first is that it's an AIP submarine that I saw a lot of comments on was China has a test submarine that has an AIP system installed, but it is a test platform. It's not an operational deployable ballistic missile submarine like this one is. So this is the first of its kind, the first in a new class of submarines that will go to sea with ballistic missiles on board and be conventionally powered with an air-independent propulsion installed. DSME are running through their version of the KSS-3 known as the DSME 3000. This could carry the BrahMos anti-ship missile, but also potentially small ballistic missiles. The test launch, he says, really puts the KSS-3 on the submarine map in the respects in that it's the most potent, conventionally powered and armed submarine in the world. And at the same time, it does not appear to have sacrificed basic capabilities in the latest generation of AIP submarines. Navies and shipbuilders will be taking note. Yeah, South Korean subs, it sounds like a better sub. That South Korean sub is really good. And don't get caught up by the ballistic missile capability, because it also has conventional missile capability as well. It's very flexible. This design, pretty good. I'm very impressed with this. Very impressed.
재래식 동력이면서도 탄도미사일까지 탑재한 독보적인 기술력에 군사 전문가들도 감탄을 쏟아내고 있습니다. 하지만 이토록 완벽한 결과물을 외면한 대가로 캐나다가 감당해야 할 막대한 손실이 수면 위로 드러나면서 상황은 급반전됩니다. 결국 사태의 심각성을 깨달은 캐나다가 어떻게든 한국 측에 만회하기 위해 다급히 손을 내미는 기막힌 광경이 이어집니다.
On Monday, July 6th, Prime Minister Mark Carney stood on the flight deck of HMCS Hampton Gray in Halifax Harbour to make a major announcement about the future of the Royal Canadian Navy. After months of negotiations and deliberation, Carney announced that Canada had officially chosen the German-designed TKMS 212CD attack submarine as the preferred bidder for the RCN's Canadian Patrol Submarine Acquisition Project. While construction remains well in the future, this project will be the largest acquisition of military hardware in Canadian history. It's time to target what exactly this all means for the future of the Canadian Armed Forces and for Canada on the world stage. This deal will see Canada acquire up to 12 diesel-electric attack submarines built by the German-Norwegian TKMS consortium. These new subs are ostensibly to replace the RCN's aged-out, problem-plagued 4 Victoria-class submarines. However, given that only one of these submarines, HMCS Corner Brook, remains operational, adding 12 new attack submarines will give the RCN a capability it has never previously had. There were few details at the press conference about the actual cost of the project. There's an estimate of a $100 billion total lifetime cost, with the upfront purchase price of $20 to $30 billion to actually construct the subs. The reason for this is that TKMS has only been named the preferred bidder in this competition. Hanwha of South Korea remains the reserve bidder, with their offer to build 12 KSS-3 submarines still on the table. Canada will enter contract negotiations with TKMS, and the hope is to sign an actual deal sometime in 2027. Under the terms of their offer, TKMS would deliver the first two 12CD submarines to the RCN by 2033, with another 3 submarines delivered by 2034. In order to achieve this ambitious delivery schedule, there has been reports that both Norway and Germany agreed to suspend their own deliveries to put Canada first in the queue. Norway and Germany have each ordered 6 of the 212CDs for their respective navies. There are currently 2 212CDs under construction at the TKMS shipyard in Kiel, Germany, with the first hull expected to be in the water by 2029. Moving away from our Indo-Pacific strategy, Prime Minister Carney was adamant that this is not the case.
I spoke with President Lee of Korea over the course of the weekend. There are a series of other initiatives Canada and Korea are pursuing that build our economic resilience and our security footprint.
If that is indeed the case, then Canada could swiftly mend fences with the Koreans by fast-tracking several much-needed military purchases, which companies like Hanwha are already producing on a massive scale basis for many of our European NATO allies. Both Poland and Romania have purchased large quantities of the Hanwha K9 self-propelled armored howitzers, along with the attendant K10 self-propelled armored ammunition vehicle. The Canadian Army retired their fleet of venerable M109 self-propelled howitzers back in 2005 and never replaced this vital combat capability. Close followers of the ongoing war in Ukraine will note that armored self-propelled artillery pieces are as vital as drones in any near-peer conflict. Canada currently has exactly 0 such assets. Placing an immediate order for a fleet of K9s and K10s with Hanwha of Korea would not be a token compensation pity party gesture. It would be a wise move that benefits the Army and sends a signal that the Indo-Pacific remains a part of Canada's future course.
독일이 스펙과 납기의 열세를 만회하기 위해 제시한 집요한 제안에 캐나다가 결국 흔들렸음이 증명된 순간입니다. 잠수함 사업에선 분명한 오판을 저질렀지만 결국 캐나다는 육군 화력을 위해 한국에 손을 내밀 수밖에 없는 기막힌 현실과 마주하게 됩니다.
We can get back to the Korean option because I think that actually plays into it. Now, the alternative was the KS-3, which is by Hanwha Ocean. They could have had a delivery that was much earlier than German submarine, despite what the Prime Minister is saying. They produce submarines at a vastly larger scale than any other sort of conventional producer, and their ability to. Where are we likely to operate these submarines? It's likely in the Pacific because that's where the growing threat is, right? And if everything is sort of focused on Europe in order potentially to sort of build up credibility with our NATO partners, I think that brings into questions is that you're just putting all your eggs in one basket. It's that you just can't just say one area and think that that's good enough for national relations. You really need to sort of look around at countries that really want to have relations with you, like South Korea, like Japan, and sort of have a more sort of nuanced flexible approach to dealing with these the new security environment, because Europe is not going to help out in the Pacific. That's not their focus, and there's a lot of sort of competing interests there. So we have to sort of build our own relations with those countries and sort of build that out in order to ensure that we have our interests and their interests sort of well in mind and effectively sort of met through our. If you look at the Asian countries like Japan, like South Korea, they are deeply concerned about their neighborhood. They need the strategic depth to sort of munitions or other things of war if the situation goes bad, and they are really looking for partners outside of the Pacific in order to provide that depth for them. And so I think to some degree they are maybe more interested in being our partners and helping us to some degree on that, even though they don't have the same alliance structures like NATO to sort of guarantee that relationship. But they certainly want those partners in order to ensure that they will have the ability to sort of prosecute a major conflict if that's what it comes to.